Hi everyone, I'm Valeria Marconi and I'm front-end architect coordinator inside Oniverse. And today I'm here with my colleague Bojan.
Hi, my name is Bojan Rodik. I work in Oniverse group as a business manager. Today I'm also Karl Kvocic, a colleague of ours who wasn't able to come. So it falls upon my shoulders to step in for the part of the message he wanted to convey to you today.
Today, we would like to share with you our experience with CoreMedia and how this tool is helping us to try to manage the complexity inside our company. But first of all, who is Oniverse and why we're speaking about complexity? Maybe Oniverse is not a familiar name for you, but if I said the Calcedonia Group, probably you have already heard about it. Oniverse is the name adopted by Calcedonia Group in 2023, because in the last year, different brands coming from different industries have been acquired. And this raised the necessity to find out a new name that wasn't linked to a single brand, but was able to express all different souls inside the group. So who we are? Now we are 15 different brands, and if the most famous one are the ones related to the fashion, like Calcedonia, Intimissimi, Human, Tezenis, Falconeri, Atelier Me, and Antonio Maras. There are also brands belonging to the yachting world, like Van Dutch, Pardo Yacht, Grand Soleil, but also brands belonging to the food and wine areas, like Signor Vino, and the wineries La Giuva, Tenimenti Leone, Podere Guardia Grande, and Villa Bucci. I would like to give you some numbers, except the names, to explain you the complexity of this environment. As I said, we are inside Oniverse. There are 15 different brands, which are located in 57 countries all over the world, with more than 5,700 stores. And in Oniverse work more than 45,000 employees. If we refer only to the digital world of our main brands, Calcedonia, Intimissimi and Human, Tezenis and Falconeri, we manage 4 websites. 4, not 5, because Intimissimi and Human share the same platform, the same website. Online store is available in 38 different countries, and in 2024, we collected more than 369 million of sessions and more than 198 million of users. In addition to the website, we manage also apps, Calcedonia and Tezenis. I've added a +1 because after the summer we will go live also with Intimissimi one. And the apps are available in 26 countries. And during 2024, we collected more than 25 million of sessions and have been used by more than 2 million of users. As you can guess, for us, it's fundamental to find out the most efficient and the easiest way to manage all these markets and platforms, considering that usually there is also a dedicated strategies for all of them. And CoreMedia is trying to help us to reach this goal.
Thanks, Vale, for the introduction. So I'm going to speak a little about the challenge that we have in terms of managing digital platforms and conveying strategies of our organization into something meaningful online and to drive impact and, in the end, of course, revenues. So to start with that, before speaking about our challenge, as Vale explained, one of the biggest challenges is actually our organization. So just to give you some idea about how we work and what organization means and which complexity it brings. I'm coming from Calcedonia Digital. This is a company that is established in Croatia. I saw earlier during the presentation of IBM iX partner, they had a huge map of Germany with all the cities where they have their offices. And if you maybe noticed on the side, there were 3 cities mentioned outside Germany. One was Zagreb, other one was Varaždin, and third one was Osijek. So forget about Osijek. Osijek doesn't matter, but Varaždin and Zagreb are the ones where Calcedonia Digital is present in Croatia. These cities are type of IT hubs in Croatia, and we also started Calcedonia Digital company there. Why Croatia, you might ask? Well, in Croatia, Calcedonia, Oniverse Group actually has a couple of factories working mostly for Calcedonia brand, and also the logistics center for Calcedonia is situated in Varaždin. You know Zagreb, it's a country capital. Varaždin is like maybe 80 kilometers north of it. And as I said, there is a warehouse and a logistics center. That's where we started. These two cities are chosen exactly because of the type of people who will work there. And you will see that a lot of this presentation is related to the people who are using the platforms and who are working on in a certain environment. Calcedonia Digital as a company has 4 departments. So customer service based in Zagreb. There we also have our IT hub. We have photo shooting dedicated to shooting all the products of Oniverse Group. Not all, but most of the products of Oniverse Group for e-commerce. And there is one of the departments that you can see here. It's DOH. It's not Doe. It doesn't have anything to do with Homer from The Simpsons. It's DOH. It's Digital Operations Hub. That's the acronym of this department. This department is basically responsible for all the digital operations to support everything that is meant for e-commerce in, let's say, executive manner. So we have collaboration, of course, with HQ in Verona, which Vale mentioned, where the company headquarters are, where we have the brand teams. They are the ones who have the strategy in mind. They are the ones who are thinking of actions that need to be performed. It's on us to perform those actions. So DOH as a department has some 60 plus people related to the content management, related to the online merchandising, related to the newsletter send-outs, and also, of course, web design, partly even front-end development. This is not everything. So to add a little bit more, we also have the branches. When I say branches, I'm thinking about other countries. I'm thinking about all the subsidiaries, all the local countries that we have outside of Italy, outside of Croatia. As you saw, we are speaking about almost more than 50 countries. They are not all countries have online presence. Not all countries have e-commerce presence, but those that do also have e-commerce managers, local e-commerce managers, so some of the people who will think about local strategies, but also how to work with the commercial strategies of the brands. Short about platforms that we are using. So base one is Salesforce for e-commerce. We replatformed to Salesforce now more than 6 years ago, I would say.
Yes, 2019 was the first go live with the Zenith.
With the Zenith, that's right. So we use Salesforce. I will also mention PIM that we are using because it's a big part of the related to the catalog management and of course as an e-commerce websites we need a lot of information about the products that we use for the certain types of contents, which I'll speak about later. Regarding the tools, one that I personally love is Jira. It was a base for us when we started with this type of organization. It helped us a lot to organize the flows and the processes because we always need to think how to optimize. And the point of this presentation will be how we optimized and how we scaled in certain ways, not just in terms of processes, but also in terms of people and the sizes of the teams. And the last one, SharePoint, which I'm mentioning here mostly due to Excel, which we cannot get rid of no matter how much we try, but it's still here. We use it actively, but luckily one of the points of the presentation is how CoreMedia helped us to maybe move up just a little bit further from it. So why we picked CoreMedia when we started thinking about a new CMS, CMS that we would add on top of Salesforce? First of all, for us, it was important to think about multi-channel approach. As Vale mentioned, we have 2 apps now. We are launching a 3rd one very soon, mobile apps. So we need to think about making the content publishing as easy and as quick as possible. This is one of the points that we were mentioning in the intro, that the go-time market needs to be, and also the alignment of the strategies needs to be on the level, and multi-channel approach, of course, allows us to do that. And we're not speaking only about the app, we're also speaking about the difference between desktop and mobile versions of our websites. Second thing, and there's going to be an emphasis on that today, the translation workflows. As we were saying, we operate in a lot of countries, and translation as a process was very long and not always the most precise one. So translation workflows, the feature of the CoreMedia that it has was one of the reasons why we opted for this CMS. Direct publication. Okay, this one might seem strange, but in the previous setup, basically when we used only Salesforce, before we added CoreMedia on top of it, we organized the system in a way that nothing would be published instantly. We always had a pre-production environment and then it would be replicated to the production the next day. We had a lot of systems that we needed to reintegrate inside, and this was the solution that was laid for us. And it's not always ideal, as we were saying. Go-to-market timing is something really important, and waiting for one day for stuff to be replicated means you need to have a lot of planning, but also it prolongs a lot your decision-making in the end. And of course, abandoning HTML. In Salesforce, everything in assets is done still throughout the code, and this is presenting a challenge when you're trying to hire new people, when you try to onboard new people to train them. It takes much longer. You need to search for a specific set of skills for people to have, not just, you cannot, just to simplify, you cannot take a student from the university and tell him learn HTML. It's going to take time. With CoreMedia, HTML is really reduced to the minimum basics. So, just to be clear, what is content management in Oniverse, on the brands of Oniverse? We are speaking about updating websites for 35 plus countries, depending on the brand. Not all brands are present in all the countries, not all brands have e-commerce presence in all countries. As you can see, the list is less than what Vale mentioned, the amount of overall countries where we are present as a group. Not just managing countries, so we are not speaking only about, let's say, Switzerland. We are speaking about multi-language locales. So when we're speaking about Switzerland, it's not one language, it's 3 of them. So this is also one of the challenges that we have in terms of content translations. We also need to have in mind that we are following corporate initiatives as well as local ones. So in fashion industry, you know, we have the seasonalities. We have spring-summer collection. We have, in middle of the year, we have Mare or Sea collection. And at the end of the year, you have a fall-winter collection. Those collections have, of course, their own corporate initiatives, so corporate pushes, so to say, for general products. But of course, something local also needs to be done, because the point of the fashion is to be quick in order to respond to the weather, to the stock, whatever can influence your revenues, both retail and online. This can be pushed through local initiatives. These are the initiatives that are specific to a certain country. As you can imagine, this is where your head starts to explode, because you need to put everything together in order to put the right message at the right time. This is our issue. This was our issue. Centralization. All the content management in the end was in the hands of the department of DOH. And how the flow looked like. So you had to prepare the strategy. That was on HQ. This is where they started. They have in mind the corporate strategy. They want to put it into the small activities. Then they need to pass the info to us. Thanks to Jira, it's quite easy, but still, it's an effort. Then it's on us to acquire translations, produce the materials, set up all the components in the CoreMedia. Then we need to apply the text that we got through translation acquisition. Then we need to double-check everything. Then we need to publish it. I mean, now speaking about it sounds ridiculous even to me. But we need to move on. We need to think about something, because we need to be faster. This is the next step that we had to do, and this is the first opportunity that we saw when thinking about CoreMedia. We needed to shorten the translation process. Why we picked that part up? Because, first of all, the platform allows us to do it. Second of all, we saw that we have a lot of glitches in the process here, and we are using a lot of tools and platforms to get something that can be inserted directly to the CMS. By that, we also wanted to increase the content relevance. If we are speaking about corporate activities, so let's say the global initiative for all the countries, but you want to send a really specific message to the market, you cannot do it if you have a centralized way, when your job is just to translate what you see in the Excel file. You need to think about how this message can be modified to be as effective as possible for the market. And as an e-commerce manager working locally, you are the one who is supposed to know that the best. So we wanted to take leverage on their expertise and the knowledge and the communication they have in the local country, in the branch, to get the best result of it. And one of the really important things here is to scale the growth. This approach here looks like a waterfall. You know, as much as we tried to be an agile company and everything, we still had this waterfall approach to the content setup and publication. What this means in terms of people is that if you want to grow, in the end, you need to grow also in terms of people. If you want to produce more content, you need to hire more content specialists in the DOH department in order to satisfy all the needs of the company and of the local branches. So this is why we wanted to scale the growth, because you cannot grow all the time. People are, of course, assets and people are valuable, but also, let's be honest, people are also cost in the end, and you want to keep your margins. So there had to be some sense in it. So the solution was to spread responsibility. We knew that we have content e-commerce managers in basically every country where we have a local presence. So this is the solution that we thought could work. Strategy preparation needs to stay in HQ, especially for the corporate activities. They are not so local. Passing the info, you cannot skip, you know. People need to do what they need to know. But then, acquiring translations, why do we use Excel? Why do we use SharePoint for that? It's not needed. Production of materials, of course, needs to stay in DOH and setup of the components. So the initial setup of components is still on us, but everything else then is taken over by the branches. And it's taken over in a way that they got the access to the CoreMedia platform. They started getting their components that they need to localize. They do all the checkups that happen after that. So all the double checks are performed locally. Of course, you can spot the mistake, or whether it's an error in translation, or even seeing the component with your eyes when it's ready for publication. You translate content differently when you look in Excel and you see just a small sentence, and when you look at in context with the banner, with in the context with the CTA, with the link that is applied, so category that is leading to, and of course, in the end, the publication of everything. All of this was passed. So it was just a matter of rethinking about resources that we have in terms of technology, but also in terms of people. Of course, we reached our goal. The first one was reduce the go-to-time marketing, because the translation process, the one that was maybe in some cases the most tedious one, was now much shorter. What this means for the company, fashion industry, as I said earlier, is now a fast industry. If you want to be competitive, you need to react quickly. You need to react to the weather. You know, if you see that it's gonna rain in the next 10 days, it makes no sense to push the message of buying a new bathing suit to the customers. You want to focus on other aspects of your inventory, of your products. So this allowed us to be quick in that sense, and for fashion industry, this is really, really important. Secondly, we increased the output of the content by 20% within a year. When I speak about the content in this sense, I'm speaking about mostly about localized components or localized banners, localized in terms of translation. So when you push the banner on a global level, but then when it's localized, we managed to increase this amount by 20% within a year. To be completely honest, it's not just due to CoreMedia, but it was a huge help in terms of reorganizing and rethinking how we approach the content inside the company. And what is really important here, we empowered local teams. As I said, now CoreMedia is not used just by one department in Croatia. Now the CoreMedia is used in basically all the countries where we have online presence. Now it's being used also in the HQ, so we are opening up new possibilities, and now we are thinking, okay, if the adoption of the platform was pretty smooth with people who we don't even know always the background of, or they were not primarily hired to be editors in CMS for the online content. Now when we see that they are able to do this first step, now we are thinking, okay, what else can we give them? And this will also allow us to scale further and to rethink the way our teams are organized within the group. So how we work, just a little couple of small insights that were supposed to be presented by Carl. Carl is our content coach. I forgot maybe to mention that. And Carl is really valuable within the company. Now speaking with the colleagues here and people from CoreMedia, I'm actually starting to understand the value of coach, of someone who has the knowledge, who has the history, and someone who is able to onboard new people because you don't lose time, you can act really quickly, and you don't have to restart every time. Of course, I know it's always a possibility to have the type of person within the organization, but it's always something to think about. There's a great value in having a professional for the platform that you are using. So, what Carl wanted to tell you. We started with CoreMedia in summer of 2022. The first brand that we started with was Calcedonia. Calcedonia is selling, for those who don't know, but probably not a lot of you, bathing suits, tights, leggings, and socks. This is primarily what Calcedonia is focused on. We were actually supposed to start with the Zenis. We hit some bumps on the road, let's be open about it, but those bumps helped us to launch Calcedonia really, really quickly. And then we followed with other brands. Now, all the brands that Vale mentioned, so Calcedonia, Intimissimi, Zenis, Human, and Falconeri, are using CoreMedia. Last one was Falconeri. We launched CoreMedia just a couple of weeks ago, and it went really, really smooth. So we are very, very happy with the learning curve that we have also in-house in this sense. Lastly, I don't know how many actual users of the platform are here in terms of content management and the setup of components, but just to show you some little things that we found useful on the platform from our point. So first one is that we localize the same content on multiple different locales, as I said. So what we have set up is that we always start from an abstract locale. So we start something really, really general. We set up the components mainly in English. We start with English for all countries. We push it to the local branches, and then they take over, and they start the localization for themselves. This is also a kind of a safety measure, also a safety trigger, because if someone does not insert their translation, they will always get the content published, and they accidentally publish it, they will always get some content, at least in English, which is always a value. Second, it was the use of the projects, which allowed us to have more control on all locales that are in scope of the certain activity. Projects are very useful for the content team because they are allowing them to publish a lot of things at once. They're making so we are not speaking only about publishing components, but in the end, when you need to place them on a home page of our website, for example, or if you are creating a landing page that is set from different components, it's easy to publish them with a couple of clicks instead of going changing country to country and doing it separately for each one of them. So a lot of time is saved just to this small feature inside CoreMedia. And as I mentioned before, since now we have we have two apps, and third is coming. And one of the benefits that we had from CoreMedia is the multi-channel publication, meaning that we want to publish the components that are compatible between the two channels, between online website and mobile app. Thanks to the PWA technology that we are now introducing, we are able to do it very quickly. Of course, we always have situations where we will publish something exclusively for the app. You can have an app-only promotion, for example. But in more cases than less, we usually do multi-channel publication. And of course, thanks to CoreMedia, this is saving us a lot of time, a lot of effort, and we are very, very happy that we are moving forward with the new technologies even on this CMS. That's it.
Thanks. Thanks.